I'm going to be 50 next year, and I worked super hard on my health. And I assure you, detoxification is anti-aging. And so it's something that I do work very hard on because I want to be my best self. I want to be super healthy. And I do all this research, and I know how heavy metals poison us and cause heart disease. They cause high blood pressure. They cause diabetes. The number one cause of diabetes is not your diet. It's toxins and heavy metals.
Welcome back to the Essentially You podcast. I am your host, Dr. Marisa Snyder, and I am here to help you rock your hormones and feel great in your body so that you can reclaim more energy, vitality, and joy, and become the CEO of your health. Let's jump on in. Have you found yourself this week needing another cup of coffee to get through your morning or your late afternoon? Like what's happening to me right now, because my husband is literally making me an iced coffee as I record this at 3 p.m. on Friday. Not gonna lie, it has been a long week for sure. Or maybe you have woken up this week feeling like you need an extra 2 more hours of sleep to feel refreshed and ready to start the day. Or you find yourself saying things like, I am just tired, or I just need a little extra something to get through this day, or why am I so exhausted already? Now, what if your energy was stripped by environmental toxins and heavy metals? Toxins such as processed food-like substances found in Coca-Cola and Oreos, pesticides and glyphosate in your lemons and strawberries, lead inside of your home, mercury from old fillings, funky water in the tap served to you by your waiter at dinner, car exhaust from sitting in traffic way too long, over-the-counter medications, and just daily things that you're using in your house throughout the day. Shampoo, window cleaner, mascara, nail polish, just to name a few. Yikes, I know. It's no wonder we are struggling with feeling tired and exhausted when we're exposed to toxins throughout our entire day, every single day. Now, these toxins, well, they are causing endocrine disruption, brain fog, exhaustion, and they can cause us to gain weight. I mean, have you heard of obesogens? That's literally what they do, is cause us to gain weight. Now, it's these very stressors mentioned that take a toll on our gut, our liver, our cellular structures, and most importantly, our mitochondria. Now, the key function of our mitochondria is to generate cellular energy so that you and I can do the things we do every single day. That is the goal. Now, recent research has discovered that mitochondria are key to accelerating aging if damaged by toxins and stress. And guess what? A lot of what we do every day is damaging those mitochondria. Now, when our mitochondria are damaged, it can lead to the development of a wide array of age-related diseases along with chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue is probably one of the first things we'll notice when our mitochondria is damaged. Now, our mitochondria aren't the only ones taking a hit. As I mentioned earlier, our hormones, our metabolism also have a major hit when we are dealing with too many toxins. And we'll see it show up as low thyroid function, estrogen dominance, and a disruption in our menstrual cycle, maybe even leading to things like infertility. So when it comes to detoxifying the body, daily consistency is number one because we are constantly being bombarded by these toxins every single day. Although I do love a great liver detox and I do love a big reset, at the end of the day, not only do those matter, but also it's the daily work that we do every day to clear our body of toxins. Now, there is no better person that I love to have this conversation with than environmental toxin expert Wendy Myers. Now, Wendy Myers has studied all of it. And spoiler alert, the big takeaway here is building in detoxification habits to reduce your toxic load every single day. Now, I'm excited for you to hear all of the tips and tricks that Wendy has for helping us to reduce our toxic load and to get our energy back. But before I bring her on, I want to quickly sing her praises. Wendy Myers is the founder of Myers Detox. She is a detox expert, functional diagnostic nutritionist, and she's the #1 best-selling author of Limitless Energy, How to Detox Heavy Metals and End Exhaustion and Chronic Fatigue. Additionally, Wendy is the host of the Heavy Metals Summit and 2 podcasts, the Wendy Myers podcast about protecting your health with detoxification, and Supercharged podcast about bioenergetics. Now, if you want to check her out even more after this episode, go to myersdetox.com. Welcome to the Essentially You podcast. Wendy Myers, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much.
I am doing great myself, and I am so excited to jump in. We've had many conversations, you and I. I feel like we're becoming quick best friends over here. But today we're specifically talking about how toxins, particularly heavy metals, impact our endocrine system. And this is where you really shine. And I don't know if there's anyone who knows it as well as you do. But before we get into kind of the nuts and bolts of what we should be looking out for, tell me a little bit about kind of what was the impetus for you, Winnie, that had you wanting to understand how heavy metals and toxins impact our bodies and our hormones.
Yeah. So, I was about 37 years old and I had reached a point in my life where I just had a baby and about, 6 months or so prior. And I just did not feel like myself. I was having trouble losing the baby weight. I was, exercising 6 to 8 hours a week. My sleep was just absolutely terrible. It was dreadful. And I was eating super, super healthy. And I just felt like my hormones were just completely out of whack. I was moody, like I said, trouble losing weight and other issues going on. So I went to the doctor and I'm like, just figure out what's wrong with me. And she found out I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman, which I was thrilled to hear about at 37 years old. But she wanted to put me on hormone replacement therapy. And I thought, well, is that going to be for life? And that just didn't really make sense to me. It didn't resonate with me. And I wanted to figure out what was really the underlying root cause. Like, why at 37 was I producing such low hormone levels, not only of my sex hormones, but my thyroid hormones and my stress hormones as well. They were all really, really low. And so that's really where the impetus of my studying heavy metals and chemicals came from, and how they affect our bodies is just my own journey going on Dr. Google, trying to figure out what was going on with me and how to recover my health. And I did some heavy metals testing and I started on a detox program, and I started feeling better pretty quickly. And I was really surprised. And the more I read about it, the more these light bulbs went off. And I thought, this is that missing piece of the puzzle, because I was doing everything right. I was checking all the boxes and still not meeting my health goals. And for me, detoxification really just became my passion. And I started MyersDetox.com to report about what I was researching and learning.
And I know not only through your own journey, but you have had the opportunity to look at a lot of other people over the years in this journey of supporting. And I know that you have found, and I have found as well, to kind of correlate with this, is that a lot of women and men too, but definitely where we see it is a lot of women are struggling with low hormone production today. And have you found that same associations for them as what was going on with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, when I test clients, I find the hormones are affected by lead and mercury and cadmium and nickel, and not to mention all of the plasticizers and preservatives in our food and beauty products and pesticides and things like that are ubiquitous in the food supply. All these things dramatically impact your hormones, and no one is exempt. Even if you aren't having, health issues or anything serious going on, these things are accumulating in your body, and over time they reach kind of a tipping point where you start having symptoms, fatigue and brain fog, and other hormone issues, mood issues, anxiety, depression, things like that. No one is exempt. We're all dealing with this stuff impacting our metabolism in various ways.
Yeah, I know. We were just having that conversation a couple of weeks ago on what are obesogens and, how that can have an impact. But specifically, I think a lot of people, we think about endocrine disruptors and we're not always thinking about the impact that heavy metals could be having. What kind of metals should we be thinking about when it comes to, endocrine disruption? And, when it comes to that, what hormones are being affected? I think immediately, I think of thyroid hormone, I think testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Those are some of the biggest heavy hitters, but I also know that you mentioned stress hormone as well.
Yes. Yeah. So the main heavy metal culprits impacting your hormones are mercury, lead, arsenic, nickel. But we also have, aluminum as well, thallium, cesium, metals maybe people haven't heard about before. But what happens with these metals is they poison hydroxylase enzymes. So these are enzymes that are needed. They're very susceptible to metal inhibition and poisoning from heavy metals. And so these hydroxylase enzymes are responsible for creating hormones and converting hormones from one hormone to another, like estrogen to testosterone, or DHEA to estrogen, et cetera, and things like that. But they're also very susceptible to, organophosphates, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides like glyphosate, phthalates like beauty and household cleaners and household cleaner products and additives, and even stress, of course. But the DHEA pathway is very susceptible to toxins. So DHEA makes testosterone, and then testosterone gets, made into estrogen. So if you don't make enough DHEA, you don't make enough testosterone or estrogen. And if you don't make enough DHEA, the pathways to make them can be poisoned by heavy metals as well. And I'll go into some metals specifically. So like there's mercury. And mercury lowers progesterone, but it can increase estrogen levels, and it impairs ovulation, which are all causes for infertility. And copper is another one. Copper has an affinity for estrogen. So when one rises, the other also increases as well. And so it's an antagonist for zinc, which, you need zinc to make progesterone. And so high copper levels increase estrogen, but decrease progesterone levels. And so that can also impair thyroid function. And then there's lead, which we all know about. And we always think of these metals, you've heard of mercury and lead, but you don't always think that they apply to you, because you always think, where would I be exposed to lead? But lead is in most houses. If your house was built before the 1970s, it has lead on the walls in the paint. There's even Home Depot has been caught selling paint with lead in it. If you live in a developing country, they're probably still using lead in the paints. And whenever you kind of repaint your house, or you sand the walls, or you do some renovations or knock down a wall or something, your house is covered in lead dust, which you can inhale. And it's estimated that 30 to 50% of the population lives in houses built before 1970. And there's also contamination in the soil from use in leaded gasoline and whatnot. So our food is grown in the soil, and our food can contain lead as a result of that. Water pipes, like galvanized pipes, are still used to transport water in our homes. Like I found in my mother's home in Texas that I was living there for about 6 months. The main pipe going to the house was galvanized steel, which has lead in it. So it's a really huge problem. And cosmetics also contain lead. So lead inhibits progesterone. It impairs prolactin production. That can create irregular periods, and high levels of lead inhibit estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol. And so these imbalances can lead to irregular periods and infertility. And I can keep going. I researched this stuff, but cadmium is also found in pesticides and animal fodder. It's used in non-organic feed for animals. And the nasty thing about cadmium is it gets stored in the pituitary gland. And that's the master gland that signals to your thyroid, your adrenals, and your ovaries. And that it's kind of like the master gland that controls all of the other hormones. So cadmium can affect thyroid function, interrupt hormone signaling to the ovaries. It's been linked to low progesterone. And it's also found elevated in women with endometriosis and other reproductive disorders, and also implicated in women that have multiple miscarriages as well, because of how it affects the reproductive organs. So that's kind of just a few examples. There's many, many, many more, but you get the idea.
Yes, no, I totally get the idea. And it really just speaks into the bigness of this issue, where we're even, when we should be mindful about our cleaning products, but our makeup, our personal care products, but then there's runoff in our food supply, in our soil. And then you're right, even in our homes, a lot of us aren't even thinking about all of the kind of existing exposure that we could be having there. And so it's safe to say that if women are struggling with some hormone issues, that heavy metals and definitely toxicity is playing a role. Would the next best step to test? Or, for me, I just think we're always being exposed to all of these modern day chemicals. There's one of the things that I've always loved about you is the ease and grace in which you talk about detoxing the body or opening up those detox pathways daily. Like, we should be thinking about detoxification on a daily level, not just maybe a fast or whatever every quarter or once a year.
If you're listening to this show, I bet health is your hobby. You're interested in getting healthy. You're working really hard, eating a good diet, taking supplements, exercising, getting your sun and all this stuff. But I think one mistake that I made, and I was working so hard on my health, and I always have, is that I was missing that detoxification component, and it was thwarting all of my other efforts. So you really need to seriously consider adding detoxification, doing things on a regular basis. So there's things you can do, like you can take supplements that aid detoxification. You can eat foods that facilitate detoxification, liver supporting foods and things like that. You can do detox protocols, but you definitely want to be doing something on a daily basis to be thinking about not just something that you can take to pull metals out, but something you can do to improve your body's health and your liver health, to facilitate your body's natural ability to excrete these toxins. And of course, doing things like, stopping toxins from coming into your body, controlling as much as you can, eating organic foods, using natural beauty products, maybe a water filtration system as well. And there's a big learning curve with detoxification, but I have all the resources that you need to make the right choices on MyersDetox.com. I've done all this research for people and recommend kind of the things that work the best. So you can do all the research there to get started.
Then that's such a great resource. And we'll have that link in the show notes, super easy to go to and pull up. I would love for you, this has been so fascinating, is all the things that you do on the daily, Wendy, to kind of keep yourself in tip-top shape. And I know one of the things that you had mentioned the last time we had a conversation was it's really about daily gentle detoxification. I know that there's some pretty intense detoxification protocols out there, and there's kind of a time and a place for those, but that for the majority of us, there are daily things that we can do to really move the needle. And I'd love for you to share some of the things that you're doing, and then also what have been some of the biggest needle movers for you.
Yes. Yeah. So, I have to say I'm going to be 50 next year, and I work super hard on my health. And I assure you, detoxification is anti-aging. And so it's something that I do work very hard on, because I want to be my best self. I want to be super healthy. And I do all this research, and I know how heavy metals poison us and cause heart disease. They cause high blood pressure. They cause diabetes. The number one cause of diabetes is not your diet. It's toxins and heavy metals that poison your pancreas' ability to control your blood sugar. So they poison your brain, and I can just keep going, your hormones, et cetera. And so for me, I want to do something every day to detox. And so the most effective thing that I do is actually a foot bath. And so it's the strongest thing that you can do. It's the one that I use is the AMD Ion Cleanse foot bath. It's about maybe 5 times faster to detox than an infrared sauna. Though I still use infrared sauna. I love getting in a sauna and sweating. It feels really, really good, super healthy for your skin, et cetera. But the fastest way to detox is with the Ion Cleanse foot bath. But even then, you can't do it too fast. I mean, I'll do a couple hours a day, because I'm still I still have a lot of stuff coming out of me, even after as long as I detox. It's just shocking to me. But, because we get stuff every single day. So you can do an intensive period of detox, then you can do more of a maintenance program. But with the foot bath, it pulls out minerals out of your body also, just like a lot of detox supplements can pull minerals out of your body. So you can only go so fast. But like I said, the foot bath is the most effective thing that you can do. But maybe want to do an hour a day, maybe, and then you got to take tons and tons of minerals to replete minerals that you might be pulling out. And then you also want to take binders. So a big mistake people make is not taking binders when they're detoxing. These are just usually fibers that act like a sponge that absorb all different types of heavy metals and chemicals and toxins that you may be pulling out of fat tissue, pulling out of storage sites. And you don't want those traveling around, migrating and depositing somewhere else, like maybe in your brain. So you've got to take binders. So I developed one called CitraCleanse. It's a grapefruit citrus pectin that's great. It also has fulvic in it and cilantro extract, which are all great at grabbing on to metals, various types. So it's a very comprehensive type of, citrus pectin and other substances in there to bind to metals. Liver support, super, super, super important. So I love coffee enemas for that. Not everyone's a big fan of those. They like cringe, when they hear that, especially guys. But they are an incredibly effective way to mechanically detox the liver. It's kind of like wringing out your liver like a sponge, but a lot of people don't really want to do that. They don't want to do them that often, but I do them every 2 to 3 days. And I'm telling you, you get flawless skin when you do coffee enemas on a regular basis, because if your liver is really overwhelmed by toxins and it just can't get to all the toxins it needs to, it starts coming out through your skin. You start getting blackheads, rashes, hives, all kinds of things, liver spots on your skin and whatnot. Because this stuff, it's got to come out somewhere if your liver is just overloaded. So liver support is super, super important as well.
I love that. So working on doing the foot baths, sauna, minerals, making sure that you're doing a binder as well, loving your liver, all of those things I know we can do every single day. And one of the other things that I love that you have a really incredible daily detox juice a green juice, like a green powder that I absolutely love that we do every single day. Can you talk a little bit about some of the benefits of bringing a beautiful habit like that in every single morning?
Yeah, so that's another thing that I do. I forgot to mention that, but I have a greens powder. It's a superfood powder called Daily Detox. Just to remind people, you want to do this every day. And it's mainly fermented broccoli sprouts, because that's the number one detox food on the planet. It has sulforaphane, which helps your liver to bind on to different toxins, helps to, really helps the liver to make glutathione, increase glutathione production. And that the fermented broccoli sprouts also have DIM in them, which can help to break down and detox toxic estrogens. And so that's really important. And your liver's involved in recycling your hormones and breaking down toxic forms of hormones. So you really need to support your liver to have, healthy hormone production and balanced hormones and recycling, optimizing, recycling your hormones as well. But the Daily Detox also has all kinds of liver support herbs. Like it has milk thistle, dandelion root, burdock root. It's got beets in it. It's really specifically formulated to support the liver. But it also has superfoods like acai and pomegranate extract, and it's got coconut powder for lots of minerals and electrolytes. And it's got all different, like there's a metabolic support blend, and it's got fermented ginger. It's got fermented turmeric in it as well. It's really it's a really good formula, and it actually tastes really good as well. People are really surprised by it. It's actually, in my opinion, one of the best tasting greens powders that I've ever tasted. It's not like a lot of products where it's got cheap fillers in it. Like a lot of products have kale, or they have spinach, and they're mostly spinach, which is not really that great for you. It's got lots and lots of oxalates, which I think a lot of people have a problem with it, even with that, even if they're aware of it or not. So we don't have any of those cheap fillers in the product. It's all like, different fibers, and it's 100% organic as well. So it's a really good product to take to support your liver and detoxification in general.
I love that, because I know so many people are looking for where to start. And I think a really solid morning routine where you're loving your liver, you're loving your body, you're setting up the digestive system for success, that's easy, is just such a big win. Now, I know we're thinking about, because we have your amazing citric binder as well. And you normally recommend it's kind of first thing in the morning or at night, because you wouldn't want to do these products together.
Yeah. So the CitraCleanse toxin binder, that one you need to take it by itself. You don't want, if you have any like medications you take or supplements, or, you don't want to take that at least an hour away from those or a meal, because we don't want it soaking up that stuff and destroying the benefits of those things that you're taking. So that I usually take mine first thing in the morning, and I don't eat for a couple hours typically. And then the daily detox, you can take that at any time during the day. You can put it in a smoothie or put it in a glass of water. Sometimes I put it in green juice that I make. So it's very, very versatile. But the citric cleanser, will take that by itself. It's really good in grapefruit juice too, because it has kind of a grapefruit kind of bittery taste because it's grapefruit citrus pectin, but it's really, really good in grapefruit juice.
Good to know. And not so concerned about you drinking it with grapefruit juice. I know some people are always concerned about the taste. And so it's not going to have a negative impact on taking away the grapefruit juice by using this, which I love. The last thing I wanted to ask you before we get going, because I know we'll have the links for both of those in case people are wanting to go check those things out. But you have a really cool little checklist, because I know, so often when we're listening to these episodes, we are doing something else, right? Women are the ultimate multitaskers, especially mamas. And so you have a checklist, a 10 tips to detox like a pro checklist that we can really tap into. Anything you want to mention? I'm going to make sure we have the link for that as well, so that people have a place to start.
Yes. Yeah. This just kind of it's a list of everything I kind of just mentioned here. And there'll be links to articles or podcasts or like where to get this stuff and how to do them. And so those are all kind of my top 10 things that you want to do to start detoxing your body. These are the things that I've learned just over 10 years of studying this stuff and digging into all the research. I've done 400 podcasts myself on the Myers Detox podcast. We're, heading up on episode number 400. So I've interviewed all the world's top experts on detoxification. And so this is just all that knowledge distilled down to 10 steps.
Love it. Well, it's such a pleasure to have you on here, Hen. And I just love seeing you. You are so succinct, and I'm so glad that we have a little cheat sheet to plug people into so they can immediately get started. And then, as I mentioned, everyone, we're going to have the links for the two products that Wendy talked about too, so that if you are looking to get started, these are gentle yet very effective and designed to do daily.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. So, did you love that Wendy shared so many big needle-moving daily habits to reduce our toxic exposure? What I love so much is that she makes it feel so easy. We can do things in the morning, we can do things in the evening, we can do things throughout the day that can help reduce our toxic load. And I think that is so important. Things like eating nutrient-dense foods, making sure that we're taking our minerals, using dry brushing, potentially if you have a sauna, using that. These are things that we can do. Even drinking a 20-ounce glass of water with her green juice mix to help support your liver, brain, and energy. Now, what I love is that Wendy's products work and they are a mainstay in our house. Each day, Alex and I start our morning with the daily detox drink with a lot of water, and we end our night using her citrus pectin binder to clear out all the excess toxins that we pretty much built up earlier that day. Now, if you are ready to implement some amazing daily detox habits, I want you to go and grab her checklist, Top 10 Tips to Detox Like a Pro. I'm going to have the link in the show notes, and I will also have the link to her amazing products that we talked about in the show as well, and the Harmony pendant that we're using for dealing with EMF exposure. All of that will be inside of the show notes too. But if you want to go and check her out even more, go to myersdetox.com and you will be able to see all the things that she has available. Now, I'm super excited to not only showcase her products and showcase how to reduce your toxic load, but also I just want to say thank you so much for listening in to the Essentially You podcast. You are literally the reason we have over 3 million downloads, and more women are finding these episodes to help support their bodies in a big way. Now, to piggyback on this episode, on Friday, literally just a couple of days from now, I'm going to be diving into the top 5 toxins that cause hot flashes, weight gain, and PMS. I think that this is such a beautiful complement to today's episode. I just want to give you everything that you need so that you are feeling prepared to make beautiful changes and get your energy back in full force. Until then, have an amazing week.